Not the only one who's very tired, but we have a great panel today. I'm really excited to end the day on a note of discussion, something that we all love to talk about, which is OTAs and hotels. It's always a perennial topic for us journalists and also for the industry. So I am going to let the panelists introduce themselves. It's always a little easier. Let's start with Raissa. Go ahead.
Hello, nice to meet you, Nick. And I'm Raissa Benchoufi. I'm the industry manager for trivago for the markets Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And our team is really dedicated to empower and inform hoteliers about the industry, some trend statistics, and we just want to help make also technology a little bit more accessible for the hoteliers.
Great. My name's James Bishop. I'm Vice President of Sales for EMEA for SiteMinder. So SiteMinder is a technology platform, really, again, enabling hotels to sell and distribute their rooms online better through any channel, be it direct channel, meta channel, or even OTAs.
Hello, I'm Gino Engels. I'm a co-founder and chief commercial officer for a company called OTA Insight. So, as the name says, we provide insight into the OTA landscape and also the world of meta search, of course, more and more up and coming. So what we basically do is we help hotels to price their rooms on the most profitable channels.
And it seems we're up against a raucous happy hour already, so we're going to have to up the ante a little bit. Maybe that'll increase people's comments. So, question for the panel. Data is a throughput of all your businesses. Each of you have a lot of data and you use data in different ways for your customers. So, Raissa, how important is it for you or for trivago when you're looking through the product and you want to serve the right hotel listings to the right search? Talk us through a little bit about that process for data.
I mean, data, of course, we are a tech organization, we're a tech company. Data for us is key. Also, on one hand, of course, for the hotelier, on the other hand, also for our users. It's really important for us that the user, when he goes on our website and he searches for his ideal hotel, that he really finds the right hotel. So data for us, of course, as a tech company, is key. And we want to, and this is really important for us, we want to also give the opportunity for the hoteliers to access this data. Therefore, we have solutions for hoteliers to access data, how people actually search on meta search, what are they looking for, and I think data makes really, when the hotelier knows a lot about data, when he knows the data, that he then can really create a good product for their guests, and I'll really know how to position the hotel in the online industry.
And on SiteMinder, you guys are really working to make sure that you're delivering the right inventory as well for your hotel partners, right? So walk through that process for y'all.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's really important for us if we're maintaining that connection between the hotel's PMS and all of those online channels, be it their direct channel, be it Meta or anywhere else they can sell their rooms online. So, for us, the data is most important for the hotelier in terms of the data that we deliver back to them on each guest that's booking, where they've booked from, how they've booked, what their lead time is, and enabling the guests to reuse that data to make better decisions about how they distribute their rooms in the future. Do they need to use that channel in the future, or do they need to use more channels? Are they going to be better off with direct channels? So really trying to enable the guests the hotels to drive into that guest data and get what they can out of it.
So really pure channel optimization and making sure they are getting the most they can for the rooms.
Sure.
Okay, fantastic. And similar with OTA Insight as well, you have so much data, room rates and competitive rates, and you really are making it easier for everyone to understand where they sit in their competitive set. So how was, it seems like data was the whole point when you guys started the company. How do you deal with the amount of data that you guys get in and returning that back to the hotels?
Yeah, no, definitely, as you say, data was at the core of us being able to start a business back in 2012, so we're very thankful of the OTA and meta search landscape. What we really see as our core mission is actually to really visualize and leverage the data that we get. So I think for hotels, there's so much complexity in the distribution landscape these days. So what we really see as our core vision is making sure that we collect the data, we already do all the hard work in terms of making sure that we make sure it's clean data, it's accurate, it's real time, and we then visualize it in a way that hotels can really easily consume it and make their strategic actions. So we really want to kind of pull hotels out of the day-to-day data collection and data purification and allow them to visualize and see whether whatever they're doing is in line with their strategic decision and their strategic plan, or whether they need to fine-tune it with really kind of more tactical decisions. So working with the OTAs and Meta is often seen as a tactical play. We want to make sure that hotels use our solution, our data, to make sure that they use the channels as in their strategic plan and use our data or our visualization more as a tactical optimization, rather than using data as almost like kind of like more as a panic attack, and so you see certain data points and then you react to it and you kind of overreact to it most of the time. So OTAs are very good at visualizing or incentivizing hotels to incentivize behavior that kind of makes the OTAs perform better. Sometimes hotels need to take a step back and make sure that they clearly understand the data and don't overreact with their decisions they take.
I like that, the not overreact part. It's hard sometimes to do that. The reason why I kind of started with data is the title of the panel is OTAs and hotels, or was it versus hotels? I think it's OTAs and hotels, confrontation versus cooperation, or and cooperation. And so I think it's a pretty interesting highlight of all your businesses that, the data is partially what you help hotels with. I think you have very different approaches. When it comes to trivago, I was at the Expedia Partner Conference in December, and it seems like there's been a steady shift in some parts of the business to help hotels more with technology. Does that apply out through when you're looking at meta search? Is it kind of an idea of helping people, the hoteliers, understand and use their data better and actually educating them in that fashion?
I think it's important to understand that hoteliers 10 years before the business was just completely different. Nowadays, a hotelier, of course, their main focus is with their guests and also with their employees in the hotel. And like in the last years, the technology also came in as on top of all the other work as well. So we really try to help hoteliers really, to help them with technology, to understand it better, and also to make technology really easy to use. Therefore, my team is, like I said, dedicated to inform hoteliers, find solutions in the market, and also explain them a little bit about meta search. For us, this is a really, really important step from trivago side, also that we, for example, offer hoteliers to put their rates on trivago straight away. So as the topic is OTAs and also the hotel directly, I think here it's important to emphasize that, for example, through meta search, hoteliers have the possibility to put rates there directly, or of course then the usual way with the booking engine. So I think for hoteliers, it's really important to have options and to really find out how can I position myself back in the market, how can I have more power back in the market. And here we have to understand that there will be customers that will always book through the OTAs, the well-known OTAs, and there will always also be customers that maybe are really price sensitive. So they focus on the price, they want a good deal, they want to find the ideal hotel. And here the hotelier really has the possibility to emphasize that they're bookable on their website, and therefore generate direct bookings as well.
And then loyalty kind of plays into that now these days, right? So Expedia added, I think it was Red Lion was the launch partner. Being able to book actual direct rates there, and signing up for a loyalty program right from an OTA, which to me was almost kind of sacrilegious, right? It was like a big moment, I think, in the shift of the balance maybe of partners more than maybe middlemen kind of feeling, at least as from the journalist perspective, that it was like we need to do better for these commissions and should be a partner, and not now the distribution is kind of done and it's there. How does loyalty fit into trivago? I'm not familiar if you guys actually do the same thing brand Expedia does, but let's talk about that a little bit.
I mean, of course we do something, we are meta searched. Expedia is of course an OTA, an online travel agency, but I think the topic loyalty is a really interesting topic. For example, when you think about a hotelier or a guest, how he books, I think loyalty starts, of course, in the hotel, first of all. I mean, like, if a hotelier makes sure that, you know, the guest has a really great experience in the hotel, then of course he might come back. But then, and there it goes again to the direct bookings topic. If the guest actually started to book with the hotel, so directly through the hotel website, of course the guest then has in mind right from the start the brand of the hotel. So then, of course, when you then try as a hotelier after a guest stayed in your hotel, when you try then to make them come back, so to make them loyal customers, it's easier when they're like aware with, you know, of your brand right from the start. So I think here again the direct bookings topic, when you talk about loyalty for hotelier, for the guests, then it's again a really, really important topic. And this is then also why we from Trivago say we want to give the guest the opportunity to book directly on the website of the hotel, or also then of course book with the OTAs.
So that's the classic billboard effect that is, you know, some people argue whether or not it matters, but having your hotel in a meta search engine or just a search engine, you know, it matters. It's like a type of advertising
of course,
on its own.
And we from Trivago side, we stand for variety in the market. We want to show our customers that come to our website, we want to show them really that they have options, you know, that they can choose from like different sources, they can choose the platform they want to book in, and therefore we give the hotelier kind of like the option also to put the rates there.
Fantastic. Let's switch gears a little bit to Airbnb. You've been in the news with Airbnb. Not that you're from Airbnb, although you never know.
No.
Will they buy you?
I shouldn't imagine so.
Well, I mean, why not? He's got all that money. Question, though, really is, you know, basically Brian Chesky says they are an OTA. You know, saying one thing and doing is different, of course, but he was very clear 2 weeks ago that they want to build another OTA, and SiteMinder was the first step towards having boutique hotels. So it's kind of interesting having an additional distribution channel. Walk us through that and what that means for your business, too.
So, I mean, for our business, it's an opportunity really to add value to those hotels that Airbnb see as adding value to their channel or to their distribution. So, you know, it's not an open playing field. You know, they're quite selective in terms of fitting into the Airbnb brand. And I guess, you know, they came to SiteMinder because, you know, we have a fairly large inventory of hotels where they can get that integration from. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. So it really starts kicking off this month. I think there's a lot of value to be had for those hotels that have the opportunity who sit in that little vertical of being boutique enough, being homely enough, I guess, and a great host to be on the Airbnb brand and see how they do.
Yeah, and you know, they keep not going public, so we don't get some of that information. So I want them to go public so we can start, you know, seeing behind the curtain a little bit. So far, I think they mentioned that it was 12,000 hotels, or I know there were a ton of, I think it was 12,000 people have applied for Airbnb Plus. How many hotels do you have currently on the SiteMinder?
Currently, 28,000.
Okay, so there's a target market right there potentially if they have them all go on. Do you find
they're not all going to fit?
Right, that's exactly right. Well, not yet. I mean, they say
not yet.
Who knows? Maybe it's like Airbnb for everyone means Marriott. I don't know. It's very interesting. Do you find that there's the hotels that come to you have specific needs versus a certain category, so like a boutique hotel versus maybe a more independent shop? What are some of the things you might see that they need out of their technology providers?
Yeah, I mean, each of them have their own set of needs. A lot of hotels come to us because they need more direct bookings. Right? That's quite often a great conversation starter when we're talking to hotels. Like, how can I generate more direct bookings? And they see us firstly as a channel manager, but realistically, we're enabling hotels to get bookings from anywhere. You'll have another subset of hotels that actually don't do channel management today, and they're stuck with, they say, look, all my reservations are coming from Booking.com and Expedia, and you know, how can you help me to broaden that distribution? Like, where else can I either get reservations from, or how can I, you know, take ownership of some of those direct? Those tend to be the ones. And then, you know, additionally on the connectivity piece. So obviously we connect to around 200 different hotel PMSs. So that's a really large factor in terms of hotels where they can actually almost offload their whole distribution piece to technology and say, look, I set the rules in my PMS, in my revenue management system. As long as I've got the right systems in place, I've got the right processes in place, this is going to drive itself. And my decision is about where I distribute them and how much I distribute them for.
Fantastic. Gino, I know you're silent over there. You're always so brooding. So, question on data. And if I'm a hotel and I want to basically surface some rates that maybe are misplaced, hopefully not maliciously misplaced, but I think part of the OTA maybe conflict is the feeling that sometimes maybe the rates weren't what I set, or there was some ghost in the machine, or something that was not right for whatever reason. It could just be a legit mistake or a wholesaler. Yeah. Walk us through how you guys help make sure that hotels see OTAs as more of a partner and not maybe a nefarious interactor.
So basically how we do it, we basically crawl the whole World Wide Web for looking for rates. So basically a hotel that works with us, they basically have a dashboard interface where they can see on any specific date, for any specific arrival date, specific length of stay, specific occupancy, they can see what their prices are across the whole spectrum of online channels. And online channels is usually divided in between direct partners, where they have a good relationship with, where basically both the OTA and the hotel are actually in a partnership where they want to sell at the same rate, and they know that certain partners are going to buy at the OTA, other ones are going to buy direct, and they have a really good balance there. The problem arises, and where we basically really fit into the kind of whole technology stack, is where the hotels are finding rates that are online, and interestingly, very often on price comparison websites, of course, because that's the whole point of the existence of a Trivago and TripAdvisor. So they really see rates that have no idea where they come from. So there's a whole complex network of reselling going on in the kind of hospitality distribution chain, where basically bed banks have a whole lot of inventory, where they actually go to the hotel on the premise, okay, we will sell your inventory to groups where you can't sell direct to, whether that's offline channels, whether that's exotic locations where you won't have direct marketing channels. But what does happen, also these bed banks at some point do not get to sell all their inventory, and they really want to make sure that they get into the online or a share of the online space as well. So what they do is they launch their rates on basically the online channels at a heavily discounted rate, because the bed banks already get a discounted rate from the hotels. So what happens now is suddenly with the meta search, where everything becomes visible online, you actually see all these hotels seeing that their rates are not where they should be. So we really try to visualize that and also source the kind of original bed bank that was the holder of the inventory. So now, whereas a lot of these rates were very opaque, so people didn't know where they were originating from, we're trying to close the loop and give the hotel really back control of their inventory to actually tell them, okay, your distribution stack is not really working out the way you planned and strategized it. These rates that you sold because they had to be packaged, or you wanted to sell them to a very difficult to market channel, are now all being offered up on a channel like Trivago. So you're actually really undercutting your own brand credibility, and you're undercutting your profitability. So it's in a way quite interesting that Trivago itself, whose basic reason of existence is to show the lowest price to the consumer, is now offering tools to the hotels to help them find out on these rogue channels that are undercutting their channel rate, because basically once that stops and the hotels have their control of distribution again and all the rates are the same, Trivago is going to go bankrupt. So it's interesting to see the motivation there, why you would do that and offer those tools to hotels. Are you really generally showing the real pricing that's out in the world there?
I mean, actually, for us, we see an OTA and also the hotelier as a business partner on the same level, because we think, and like I said earlier, for us as a meta search, and you understand probably, it's important that we show a variety of options, that we really give also the hotelier and also the OTAs the possibility to really, put their rates on Trivago. And of course, we want to then support the hotelier, with tools that they can actually manage and position their property online. And for us as a meta search, we have, the benefit that actually we get a lot of data. We, for the requests that the customers do, we actually source a lot of data. And this data, of course, then we want to give to the hotelier, because we think only with data he can then really, make his product better, position the hotel better in the market, and really know what the people, the users are really searching for. So therefore, of course, we support them with the technology behind it.
Will you also be showing Airbnb rates, for example?
No, not at the moment. You mean from Airbnb?
Yeah, just
No.
their inventory or their...
Well, that might change, SiteMinder, you start thinking about ways that those actually come through, but yeah, it's a lot to process, but it could happen. I mean, you have HomeAway and the Expedia family, so there are ways that, that inventory is being folded in.
I mean, I would say never, but of course at the moment we focus on the hoteliers, and of course as we continuously work with the OTA partners.
I think almost the same question for you too. Will you ever have vacation rental pricing? There's so many companies doing that, right? Helping them, is that off
actually,
the table?
We get the requests almost on a daily basis now. And I think now especially with Expedia owning HomeAway, with basically Airbnb and Booking.com, because I think I read an article a couple of weeks ago by the CEO of Booking.com, where literally their prime competition is Airbnb. So where actually vacation rentals is our prime focus. So if they want to convince vacation rental properties to get online, they will have to give them visibility on their platform. So I do see a very near future where Booking.com, I think frustratingly for hotels, will serve up a lot of vacation rental properties. So it's going to become for hotels even more difficult to basically get to that top placement. For certain people who book via Booking.com is going to be maybe a bit frustrating because they don't want to necessarily see that property because they're used to Booking.com serving up the best hotels. And Airbnb, I see potentially the same problem. Like the community that kind of started Airbnb and that was really strong is now not potentially going to be too happy seeing, even though it's still a nice boutique hotel, but it's still a hotel. So I think there's a lot more to be seen whether that shift in business model is going to be successful and accepted by the people that at the moment are very, very happy to spend their money on those specific channels. So.
Yeah, and I think they said that this new Airbnb Plus, the average rate is $250 a night, which, one of the things the hotels had always said is that it's, Airbnb's cheaper and it's undercutting, but $250 a night is not cheap. That is a very nice hotel room. So the fact that they're going that way is very interesting, too.
I think what I would like to add when we talk about Airbnb, and of course, there are probably hoteliers now in the audience, and I think I would emphasize that it can be a chance. When you look at the trend, what are the guests are actually looking for when they come to an Airbnb? So they usually look for something like authentic experiences, local experiences, and I think it's also a chance to see for a hotelier that he can also benefit from that trend. So if he offers something for his guests, something where he has themed evenings, maybe with local cuisine or something, have a room where travelers can meet up. I think it's something as a hotelier where you can really adapt to that trend. And I think if you then also with data and things for example from meta-search, combine that trend, you can actually use it for your hotel because a guest, I think the products are quite different, but also if the hotelier then adds the benefits that he could have with that trend, it could actually be a chance also for the hospitality industry.
Yeah, I think a race to the bottom is far less fun than winning on guest experience. It's just a better life to live. You don't want to be the Walmart of everything, or maybe you do, but I don't. That might be personal preference, though. All right, so we're gonna wrap up closely, but direct. You kind of mentioned this, all hotel bookings going direct. If that ever happens, meta-search, is not necessary anymore theoretically. But I would love to hear thoughts on direct booking. Whether it's, is it valuable or is it nice to have a partner who's spending money on acquiring customers for you so you can focus on doing the guest experience that you should be instead of marketing, which not everybody wants to market. Some hotels do, some hotels don't. So yeah, direct booking, go. Who wants to take that one first?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So I think hotels, you're right, look at it very differently depending on which hotel you're talking to. So some of them will say, okay, that commission, that's part of my marketing cost. That's something I don't have to go and spend on print advertisement, on SEM, on SEO, and everything else that I might do to try and drive direct bookings. Whereas, I think it's a true balance. OTAs have been very good and still are very good at acquiring guests, and they don't really mind where they put them, which hotel they're going to be booking them in. So, they're very good at acquiring guests, and Gino disagrees with me, I know, but once those guests are in your hotel, you need to make them your guests so that their friends and family may rebook with you, or they may rebook with you, or they may rebook with another hotel within your brand. But I think there's a happy medium between those two. I think hotels have to certainly step up a little bit in terms of what they do with those guests and that data once they get it in, and don't just sit back and say, oh shit, all these OTAs are filling my rooms, and there is actually something that you can proactively do to work with them to obtain those guests and actually use that data in your benefit for the future to drive further direct reservations.
I mean, it's a lot of work to market a hotel. I mean, channel optimization, figuring out, it's exhausting. I always think that's a tough job, revenue management, all that stuff. So there are some ways to get around that, and you do pay for it, right? So direct booking, who's going to go? What do you think?
I can go. So I think it's a very important topic, direct bookings. I completely agree with you that it's not just done very easily, but when I talk about also statistics, I mean, we know that really the online bookings are overtaking the offline bookings. So really now for a hotelier, it's time to try out things, see what product works best, because if they don't do it now and if they don't try out now and position themselves in the market, I think they might just lose bookings. And therefore, when we think about meta search again, and we know that every second traveler starts the journey in finding a hotel with meta search, then of course I think it would be great for a hotelier, to also be an option on meta search and then be bookable right away from meta search. So instead of that, we send the guest to the site of the OTA only, that the hotelier, again with every second traveler that looks on meta search, has the chance to get exactly this traveler. And I think therefore, again, I completely agree. It's definitely a big process for a hotelier. The website has to be up to date. The content has to be great. There has to be a booking engine that works also in different languages. It is a lot of work, but it's kind of an opportunity for a hotelier to also get, a little bit more power back in the market.
Especially with rising travel from China and all these other places that may be a little more difficult for an average hotelier to understand or even be able to deal with. It's helpful to have that. Gino, sir, direct booking, how do you feel about it? I mean, does that put you in a weird spot, or is it you could still do, get the data from when people are searching on actual hotel websites, or how does that play out?
So we work actually quite a lot of the global hotel chains. So for them, it's very important. I think direct bookings, it's also, everybody of course would like to have the direct bookings. I think a lot also depends on whether hotels have basically the financial capabilities to drive direct booking. So financial capabilities, and we've seen a lot of acquisitions, so basic consolidation, both in the OTA and the hotel space, and a big driver of that is, like now again, just recently, kind of Wyndham acquiring Lakita. We had the big acquisition of Marriott and Starwood. So the big reason behind that is, of course, they don't have the financial capability to bid against Booking.com and Expedia on Google. And Google is kind of, first of all, the kind of key player that you need to be or kind of be winning on to be able to win the direct booking channel. I think that's the first challenge where the OTAs are so strong. They're kind of used to the time when you're looking at booking a trip in any city around the world. Booking and Expedia have the first 2 or 3 pages of any of those prime advertisements on Google. So as long as even the big chains and the big brands can't really compete with that advertising space, it's going to be very difficult to win the direct booking war almost. But it's not a war anymore. I think I want to come back to the point, from working with these chains, they've really gone more and more in partnership. I think the partnership is there in terms of that they know where the OTAs are complementing or filling up their rooms, so where they're valuable in terms of making sure they hit their budgets, where I think there's still a very disbalance in terms of the partnership is where certain OTAs do not share information about guests that are going to arrive in a hotel. So I think to be able to have a balanced situation and go to cooperation, there needs to be a lot more data sharing. And I think the kind of pie of the online booking is big enough. I'm not saying we need to start doing charity, but I think the whole experience can be a lot better if everybody starts sharing data. And I think that's a kind of an ecosystem where basically the end consumer or the guest, the hotel guest, can really choose freely where they want to book. At the moment, it sometimes feels that direct booking is almost a punishment for the user because they get a better rate. So they shouldn't book on Booking.com because they get a direct 10% discount. So you're almost punishing them, not letting them freely book to win your point and get a direct booking. It should be ideally a really user-driven decision, not based on external factors. But yeah, I think direct bookings very important for the chains. I think it's going to make sure because that the base profitability for the hotels to keep them going, to keep them nice, renovated. But I think for independents, it's going to be a lot tougher game. So Airbnb now coming into play, reducing cost of acquisition because basically their commission is going to be between 3 and 5%. Google driving a lot more bookings to that channel, so there's new players in the market. So the more players in the market, the more competition. So should be a good situation the coming 10 years. So I do believe there's a lot more to go for.
I think that's a good place to end. Any other comments or anything? We're good? It's awesome. You know, I think the competition thing is really important on the extra channel. I wrote an article about the Airbnb thing, and I think it's always good to have more competition in that way, you know? So I also, you know, I think it's important to remember that direct booking doesn't solve everything, you know, because sometimes you don't want to stay in the same hotel all the time. You know, I'm very big on like Hotel Tonight because I just want to stay someplace new. You know, so there is this challenge also if you want to understand the guest experience. Some guests want to have new experiences, you know, and you have different brands. So maybe if I'm searching on Marriott, make sure you give me the right hotel, personalization. It just keeps going from there. So I think it's time for us to get a drink before I die. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.